What's up guys, welcome back for another Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Duel video. Senka, aka Ancient Warriors, got more support. I believe this is like the second or the third wave actually. Yeah, they recently got more support as well. So anyway, the new Link monster is definitely quite solid for the archetype. It's basically like a combination between, well, like Tiger King, if that makes sense, for Fire Fist and the Dragon Link that bounces stuff from your opponent. So, you know, this Link 2 has the ability to do that, so interact with your opponent during their turn. This is currently my deck, 41 cards in the main because of the Utopia rank up, you know, like Double or Nothing, that was the name I was looking for. So obviously, this new card, the Link 1, doesn't really change the core way of playing the deck. My build isn't really that different compared to it was like a couple of or at least some time ago. Again, the evenly match that I eventually, like, during the last game just slept in again. The deck definitely wants to go second. Going first, you don't really have any good fields to end on, and that's already a huge flaw of the archetype, is that unlike, let's say, Salamangreat or Spirals or whatever, is that you don't really have the option to end with like a good field to again interact with your opponent during their turn. Then again, with the new Link mods, you do have the option to potentially, you know, bounce something back. But getting your Link first of all on the field, well, it's not that hard because again, you're running that level 4 that has the ability to special summon itself when it's like searched of an Ancient Warrior card, so that's okay. So getting the two monsters needed to go for the Link is not that hard, but that's it. Most of your time, your follow-up plays during your opening turn are quite limited, since again, you're running a couple of level high monsters that have the ability to establish their board, especially going second. You know, with their hand traps, with the Shien, with the Cyber Dragon. So the deck has so many options that it's just you want to go second. And that's the problem of the archetype, is that you'll see, or maybe if you played the archetype already, is that going second, and if your opponent has a couple of negations, as in Pendulum Magicians, as in Spiral with Trigate negations, it's quite hard for this deck to play through those big fields. So extra removal in the form of maybe a Kaiju, that's definitely okay. Evenly Match is a no-brainer. I feel you should definitely main deck that if you don't want, but again, yeah, Kaijus are definitely an option, but outside of that, yeah, you just have the standard hand traps, and that's something I might change to the build, is adding in more hand traps, more, well, next to Ash Blossom, I guess. So this board is definitely, I mean, with this, the deck just feels very similar in a combination between Fire Fist and Six Samurai. You know, Six Samurai is basically at full force in the OCG, with a Gateway at 3, if I'm not mistaken. But again, it's not really doing anything over there because of the weaknesses of that deck are quite similar to this deck. And even then, I mean, Six Samurai having access to multiple gateways, or gateway in general, it just falls to, you know, like a hand trap or a basic interruption, and that's just the biggest flaw I have with this deck. So you definitely want to go second, and even then you need those the good starter cards like Tenki or their Monster Searcher, which is of course searchable with if you have like Foolish Burial of Goods to send the ship here that's now face up in the graveyard to the graveyard to get another search. But you know that the archetype contains so many restrictions, and they feel like unnecessary restrictions. Like, let's talk about their Cyber Dragon. The Cyber Dragon is of course good, but okay, you can't control any monsters, and your opponent needs to control at least one monster, or more monsters than you do, at least one, and you know, can't control any. That seems fine, but you know, you can only use the effect if your opponent controls like more monsters, and that feels a bit inconvenient, since you want to have like Sun Mu on your side of the field, the guy that has the Compulse effect, and at the same time could search like a monster from your deck. Again, that feels so inconvenient. Why that restriction? Same for their level 4, the wind one that has the ability to send something from your side of the field to the graveyard to get a special summon from the deck, so very similar to Magical Musketeers, but again that only works if your opponent controls more monsters, and in most situations if your opponent doesn't play the strategy of, you know, vomit your entire hand to the field and have multiple negations, then that card, your monster, is useless since it'll just negate stuff. Other boards like Salamangreat will just end with maybe 2 monsters, and then, you know, you can't get more monsters on the field, or it conflicts with your Cyber Dragon, and then normal summon your level 4, this one, to potentially get a summon from the deck, but nope, that doesn't work, because again your opponent is controlling the same amount of monsters. So the deck feels, there are so many unnecessary restrictions that kinda hurt the archetype for no apparent reason. So anyway, going second again, and I'm only running, I'm only running 1 copy of the trap card, the Champion. I'm not really sure about the correct name. It's okay, but again, the fact that it's of course searchable off of your Link monster is more than enough, and I don't feel that I need to run more, because again, the deck is focused on going second, and it's just so inconvenient having that trap or even multiple copies going second. It's stuck in your hand. One of the new spells, well, the new continuous spell has the ability to kinda cold wave your opponent during, well, yeah, during your turn, but you're basically depending on chance of that, is that you can activate that continuous spell and then call, toss a coin and either call heads or tails. Oh yeah, no, that's not really true, but toss a coin, and if it's heads, it will destroy itself. If it's tails, it will just stay on the field, but you want to hit heads. Again, you just want to destroy the card or let it destroy itself, so that your opponent is not able to interrupt or respond with card effects to your Dynasty Warriors, you know, your monsters. You know, it negates stuff like Blossom or the counter traps like against something like Salamangreat. But I thought the continuous spell, no, in theory it sounded much better, but there are just in our format now, there are just so many cards that just you know, you can just use them preemptively to kind of bypass that quote-unquote cold wave-alike effect that your opponent is not able to respond to direct effect activations. And you know, there's Impermanence, and there are many other cards like Conductor Tyranno, for example, that just, you know, just use them and don't like let your opponent activate their effects first. So huge flaw for the card, and that's why I eventually opted to only run 1 in the main deck, and again, evenly matched just outshines the card in every way. So again, going second, and this is definitely an okay opening hand, but then again, Heroes is definitely not a good matchup because of Dark Law. Dark Law banishes your entire spells and traps, and you need them, you know, you need them in the grave, at least you need the graveyard for them, you know, to use the extra beneficial effects. So I do hit the Cold Wave effect, but it's not activated. I knew it was game over because, again, Dark Law banishes everything, and yeah, the archetype is just based around that. Even though I do have options to get rid of an early Dark Law with, you know, the hand trap that has the ability to special summon itself and pop something from your opponent, the potential Cyber Dragon, but of course, you don't open them at that moment. Triple Extravagance, a no-brainer. Again, it's just basically 2 free cards, and Dark Claw will eventually banish the wind, I think. Yeah, indeed. But now I have too many options to get rid of Dark Claw. So try to force out like another negation. There is the Impermanence, so that might be a tell. There is the Honesty Neos in hand, and then just use one of the new, I guess, second wave of support, I think, continuous spells to use the Ryoku effect. Half the attack of an opponent's monster, and then increase the attack the same amount of one of your own monsters. Just make sure that I can get rid of Dark Law, and this should be my duel. Just establish your board, making sure you have the level 4 wind monster to negate spells and traps. If you control the other wind, you can negate monster effects as well, but you know, spells and traps is just fine. I do have the Link one as well to bounce something back, and Sunmu indeed to potentially bounce something as well during your opponent's turn. So in that regard, it kind of feels similar to Yosenju. So yeah, the deck feels like a combination between multiple decks, 6 Samurai, Yosenju, Fire Fist as well, but it's just, it feels there are just too many restrictions, unnecessary restrictions, and it has the same weakness as something like Magical Musketeers. You're heavily relying on your normal summon, and okay, your archetype does have beneficial, at least additional ways to get more monsters on the field, like Tensu or their Searcher, their Monster Searcher, but you know, you're already committing to the field, and your opponent will just interrupt that if you're playing against some form of good deck. So it's an okay archetype, the link is definitely solid, but the archetype just faces so many core problems that I don't feel this archetype will just, well, will hit tier 1 status if it's fully revealed or released. So again, like always, feel free to leave feedback. Thanks for watching, feel free to leave a comment or like if you enjoyed the video. Lithium signing out. Peace.